Welcome to the Medium in the Middle podcast. I'm your host, Stephanie, the Medium in the Middle. On this podcast, I share my journey as a developing psychic medium, as a Reiki master teacher, as an Akashic record practitioner, and anything else that's thrown my way. Hello, pals. Hello again on Wednesday, our new home Wednesdays. Welcome to episode 127. My name is Stephanie. I am the Medium in the Middle, and I have an exciting story for you this week. It's a mediumship story. So I was getting really excited to pull the card for this week's podcast episode, and it's interesting. I've been pulling cards on the podcast for a long time now, and I do cards for friends and stuff, but I finally decided that I should add it to an offering. So it's been added to the end of Reiki. So you can do now 60 minutes of Reiki and a card pull at the end. Same with in person. And people have already booked them and it's been really, really fun. So it's nice to give individualized guidance. So this week for the podcast guidance, I'm pulling from the Kyle Gray Angel Guide Oracle. And I pulled the card, which made me laugh, Intuition and Downloads. Now, I've never pulled this card before, but I laugh because today I'm doing all mentorship calls with the mentees in the middle, and we were always talking about intuition and downloads and guidance and learning how to trust. So it's nice that this is coming up on the podcast so I can share a little bit with you. So intuition and downloads. Hearing high-pitched noises, seeing flickers of light, and having the sense that beings are visiting you in your sleep are all signs that you are receiving downloads from heaven. When you draw this card, your angels want you to know that the feelings you are having and the intuitive urges that you have been feeling are divinely inspired. If you feel that you've been having psychic insights into a particular situation and have been wondering if you can trust them, this card is reassuring that you are indeed correct. This is a time when you are able to see, hear, and feel beyond the human senses. Your intuition is becoming stronger, and you are touched with angels, guides, and other divine beings who are encouraging your growth and connection to the universe. Okay, I love that card. I feel like we can never hear that enough. We always need that reminder. As always, if you want to see the cards, I post them on my Instagram stories every week. You can follow me on Facebook or Instagram at Medium in the Middle. I have some exciting announcements. At the end of this month, May 29th, a medium named Bree and I are doing a live mediumship reading in Banff, Alberta. I am so excited. I'm getting fired up. Spirit's getting fired up. They've been coming through like crazy, which is where this story comes from. But it's going to be a really fun event. Tickets are over half sold out, but there are still some left if you want to join us. May 29th in Banff. It's a Sunday from 2 to 4:30 p.m. Come hang out with us. Let us talk to your loved ones. Let us channel for you. It is so good. I will leave the link down below in the show notes. And for Reiki courses, I am currently all sold out, but I will be starting a waitlist soon for the July classes. And the next round of mentees in the middle is starting in June. It is currently open to the waitlist, but if there end up being any spots left, I will open them up to the public. You can keep in contact with me and stay up to date with all of those announcements on my Instagram. I post on there very regularly, try to entertain you guys. So if you want to stay connected with me, go over there for all of those updates. As always, all the links that you need will be down below in the show notes. But this week I have a fun episode for you. I felt like I was saying a lot this week. I need to make a podcast about this. Is it okay if I make a podcast about this? So I have a few stories lined up over the next few weeks to drip out, but I always know that you guys love the mediumship stories, so I will start with that one, and I will also say this is a good one. I was even like, ooh, spirit showed up. So this story starts actually with my first client of the day. So I was working in person at my new office space in Banff, Alberta. My first client walked in and I felt a mother figure kind of with her. And when I tuned into the energy of the spirit, it felt like a mother, but it didn't feel like her mother. So I went back and forth on if I should say anything, and I decided no, because the energy wasn't strong enough for it to be her mother, and I didn't really have much. So I didn't think anything of it. My second client, the energy didn't come up. And then my third client walked in, and I noticed that she smelled of alcohol. And I was like, oh, that's weird. And then I turn around to face her, and she tells me that she's pregnant. And I was like, okay, well then she couldn't have been smelling of alcohol. And the smell kind of went away. When she was on the table, I tried to be like, was it me? And there was no smell anymore. So again, I didn't really think anything of it. I was like, okay, maybe I'm just, losing it. I'm not sure. And she's laying on the table. She's like, oh, I have a lot going on. And I was like, okay, that's all right. You don't have to do anything. She's like, do I have to tell you what's going on? And I was like, no, you can just relax. You can tell me if you want to, but you don't have to say anything. The Reiki will work either way. I set her up with some extra pillows because she was pregnant, and we just made sure she was comfy. And as I was setting her up with these extra pillows, she was like, oh, I just need to tell you, I'm pregnant and I just got engaged and we're moving and my mom just passed away. And then I said, oh, that's your mom that's here. And she was like, what? And I was like, yeah, for my first client, there's randomly a mother energy here, but I couldn't figure out who it was for, and it didn't feel like it was her mother. And she starts laughing, and she was like, yeah, just like my mom to be early. We were always early to everything. Of course she would be early. And I was like, well, yeah, if there was an opportunity to talk to her daughter, then, she's not going to miss it. So as we're first chatting, I was like, oh, how did you hear about me? And she was like, oh, my massage therapist referred me to you. And I was like, oh, interesting. I don't even know that person. She's like, I don't even know if she knows you, but she listens to your podcast. And I was like, oh, okay, so you know that I'm a medium? And she was like, yes. She's like, I was like, all right, so is it okay if we talk to your mom? Because she has a lot to say. And she was like, yes, absolutely yes. Reminder that consent is cool. And when you want to offer a message in a non-specific mediumship setting, always ask. So I always like to ask. So we start talking, and I was like, wow, your mom's a big ball of energy. She wanted to talk about her passing. She wanted to know that it was fast. And she kind of explained it like a computer slowly shutting down. And the daughter was like, oh, I'm so happy because, I was really worried about her passing and how much pain she was in. And then she went from talking about her passing to making a joke. And I didn't know if it was appropriate to go from talking about her passing to talking about a joke. So I kind of asked, and I was like, oh, your mom's kind of making an inappropriate joke. Is it okay if I say it? And she starts laughing. She's like, of course she would be. Yes, say it. And I said, I'm not sure if I'm hearing this correctly, but she seems to be with 3 other women. And she's making a joke that she's with the old bags. Or she might be saying old hags. And I don't know if she used to say something like this, but she's laughing and she's saying she's with the other old bags. And the lady just starts laughing, and she's like, oh yeah, she used to always say that. She used to always say, we're the young old people, and she would say things like that. And I was like, and another weird thing, did your mom used to like coolers? The drink? I was like, because she's sitting back and she has a cooler in her hand, and she's just on the porch, on a chair. And she's just like, it's a party over here. And she's just really enjoying these coolers. And she was laughing even more. And she's like, oh, mom couldn't drink at the end, but that would really make sense. She loved her coolers. And I was like, when you walked in, I smelled alcohol on you. And I thought to myself, well, that doesn't make sense. You just told me you were pregnant. But now it makes sense that it was your mom that made me smell that. And she was like, oh, do I still smell now? And I was like, no. And I was like, but right when you walked in, I got a whiff of it. So her mom was actually very chatty. And I found out later in the session that her mom has only been passed for a few months. And I actually have a really hard time usually getting souls that have just recently passed. And she was like, no, my mom was very spiritual. I knew that she was going to be strong in spirit. And her mom started saying all the ways she was going to send her signs through her kid, through different messaging. And a few key things that really stood out to me in this reading was there was one funny thing that happened. So she started to talk about her husband, so the client's dad, And I was like, oh, like, whose birthday is this month? Like, she's really highlighting a birthday this month. And she's like, oh, it's my dad's birthday. I was like, okay, like, she's really highlighting that. And also, who has the blue car? And she was like, my dad. And I was like, okay, like, where's your dad going? Like, is he traveling? Like, where's he going and coming? I see him, like, going back and forth, back and forth. Is he traveling somewhere? Is he going somewhere? Because she's saying that she's, like, not with him at home, but she's always with him in the car when he's going to wherever he's going, back and forth all the time. And then she starts laughing. She's like, oh my gosh. She's like, she would be with him in the car because ever since he retired, he started working for DoorDash. So he's been doing deliveries on his spare time. So he's always in his car doing these deliveries. He's just as happy as can be. She's like, it would make sense that mom's in the car with him, doing these deliveries. And he does have a blue car. That's the car he does his DoorDash in. And I was laughing and I said, oh, I'm sorry, but that's the funniest thing Spirit's ever said to me, showing me going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And here this man is doing DoorDash. So we had a good laugh. Her mom's spirit came in so strong. She had so many nice things to say. She talked about messaging. She talked about the child. She talked about her passing. She made jokes about her coolers and being an old bag. She talked about her husband. It was just really, really fun and very lighthearted. And the client on the table was just laughing and so happy to hear from her mom. And it was a really, really nice reminder of how fun spirit can be and playful. But it also really got me excited for the mediums in the mountains because group readings bring such a different energy. And spirit's really been showing up in all my sessions. And I think it's I know it's to really get me hyped up for this event and knowing that the energy that's going to be created. So they've been sneaking in different appointments, and it's been a nice little welcome change. I actually, for a moment, considered changing my boundaries to let spirit flow through. So stay tuned because I'm not sure how I feel about that. But her mom stayed for the entire Reiki session. To be honest, she talked for about 25 minutes of it. She had a lot to say, and we were laughing, and we were, working and mediumship and Reiki and mediumship. And it was really nice. And at the end, she was just sitting there with her cooler and she had her legs crisscross on like this lawn chair. And she was like kind of smacking her flip-flop against her heel. And she was just like, it's a party over here. It's a party over here. That's what she kept saying. And it was just so exciting that when we die, we don't die. We just change form. Life just shifts. And I think this brings me back to when I've talked about this before on the podcast, but we don't remember what it's like before we were born. Death is like that. Like I'm sure before we were born, we're like, cool, I'm like chilling in the sack and you just get fed and I'm growing and I'm getting better every day. And like death is going to be just like that, but in a new way. And we're not going to know and it's going to be different, but it's this new level of consciousness. So this experience was just really heartwarming. I think because it was so recent, because it happened so easily and naturally, because the soul had so much to say, it was a lot of like light bulbs in my head. I'm like, wow, this is how like 45-minute readings happen. Like I could easily talk to this woman for that long. And then I was like, oh wow, this is how like newer spirits come through. Like I had this misconception that I can't get new spirits, like, like they have to be at least 3 months past, or they have to be all these rules and regulations that my Capricorn brain sets out. So it was nice for kind of my biases to be blown out of the water and also be a part of something so beautiful and so heartwarming that spirit's usually fun, but like this soul was so fun, like so many jokes. She was talking about the people she was with. She was talking about the living. She was talking about, what she's seen, how she feels. It was just such a positive experience. My client on the table, she didn't cry once. She didn't shed any tears. She was like openly discussing her mom and her passing. And I just thought it was so beautiful that there was just this understanding of life after death and what happens after we die. So I did ask her if I could share this on the podcast. I was like, can I make this a podcast episode? Like, this is too good. And she was like, yes, absolutely. Like, my mom would love that. And it just feels so nice to share this story with you guys. So I hope you're smiling with me as you listen to this story, because this was really fun. It was really heartwarming. And I just had to share it. I just had to share the story right away. It bumped the line of the other things I want to talk about on the podcast. So that's what I have for you this week. If you haven't already, I would love and appreciate a rating and a review. It really helps me out in the podcast world. It helps us grow. And I appreciate all of you who have already left a review. If you do want to book an appointment with me, I do distance Reiki, Akashic records, and PSYCH-K sessions. Those are all done in person or via distance. I do all my sessions live via Zoom, so you can book that. I will leave all the links down below in the show notes. If you want to come see me in real life in Banff, come and see me. If you want to come to Mediums in the Mountains and get a live group reading with me and a medium named Bree, I will leave the link down below in the show notes. But until next week, everybody, I will see you in your ears next Wednesday. Next Wednesday, our new home on Wednesday, for me to have a day off. My day off this week was amazing. I'm very excited to have days off. So set your boundaries, follow them. See you next week, everybody. Have a good one. Bye.